Bubble bag. Homeowner with rifle confronts car full of undercover cops. Fool, what the fuck is going on, fool? How you goddamn... Did you think the cops was the ops, goddamn, man, fool? Did you think the undos was the pew-pew-pews, goddamn, you know what I'm saying? Are they the murderers? I really want to see how this shit go, fool, so we ain't gonna wait no time, fool. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Drop in the comment what y'all want to see next, fool. Follow me on the gram at STA KT, STA.KT, and at really KT, goddamn. And they get it, baby. Fuck. They get it, baby.
Outside your property with a long gun is a really bad idea. Today we see...
What? You can't have a shotgun out there,
everybody,
huh?
welcome to today's lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
What the
It
fuck?
comes to us from Jacksonville, Florida. This is not a paid endorsement, but Cigars Daily is a friend of Active Self-Protection, and like Active Self-Protection, they are active in the fight.
So they want you to
human
protect yourself
trafficking
and smoke
all over
cigars.
the world. If you like cigars, check
Bruh.
out their excellent YouTube channel and pick up some sticks to support the work they do.
Okay.
This car that you see pulled up in front of this house, you can see it's after 10 p.m., is actually full of cops on a drug stakeout for another house. And you can see kind of in the backyard there, the homeowner has kind of come out to see what's going on with these guys, and then he's kind of, you know, checking them out, whatever.
Oh, God,
and
how
then
the fuck you supposed to know who the fuck that is, boy?
I
I be scared. I be on some
He's gonna
shit,
turn
too.
his porch light on and off several times, clearly as a marker to them, hey, I'm awake, I see you, get out of here, whatever. But it's a bunch of cops on a stakeout. They're not going anywhere regardless. So now what's going to happen is
they
he's
looking for
gonna
the
come
nigga with
back
the?
out.
Is they looking for
He's
Brad?
actually armed with a rifle, and so he is going to come out into his front yard here, not knowing who these guys are.
Y'all,
thinking that maybe
undos
they
in
mean
one
to
whip.
invade
Boy, that
his
shit
home or something
crazy.
like that. But he's going to come out, show the rifle to the front of the car, go so far here now as to actually kind of bang on the hood with the rifle and then point it at them, at which time he's going to get them to come out. First shot from the back seat, second shot from the front seat. He gets a shot off.
Oh, he shot at
now you're
them.
going to see the officer in the back seat gets out and just goes to work. And they shot him multiple times. He did not make it through that. This is really a terrible tragedy.
Damn.
We need to think about what went wrong. Man, this is a bad outcome. We have an entire seminar on home defense basics and how to do the best to plan your family's home defense. It was one of our online seminars. I put a link
Nigga, what
in
the
the
fuck
description.
you gonna
If
expect
you
somebody
would
to
like
do
it,
saying
go
it's a
pick that
car just
seminar
sitting
up. I would
outside they
appreciate you
shit?
supporting
What?
the work we do in doing
Can't
that.
call
And if you're
12 'cause
a
that's
Gold
12.
member, email us.
You know what I'm
It's yours
saying?
free. So a bunch of cops on a stakeout here tells me probably not the world's greatest neighborhood. That said, I totally get that this man who seemingly, from what I can tell, is not a bad person. He's a good, sane, sober, moral person, and he has the right to have a firearm in his home, has the right to be aware of his surroundings, has the right to defend himself and his family in his home without any question. And even I think this strategy here of turning the light on and off may not have been a bad idea if they were casing his house to go, oh, okay, wait a minute, somebody's awake. I don't want any more to do with him, to kind of try to scare him off. But it doesn't work here. And the big mistake that he made then is coming out of the house with the firearm on his person and deciding to use that as an intimidation tool. That was a huge mistake.
Who shot that hoe first?
If you get into this spot, they won't go when you turn the porch light on and off a couple times, whatever. You're paying attention to them. They know that you've seen them. They're not going anywhere. The right answer here is to call 911, is to call in the authorities and ask for a
911.
drive-by,
And what as
ask
soon
for
as
a
they
check.
see you,
In
they
this
hop out
particular
that
case,
bitch.
I think it probably would have then given him some confidence. They say, hey, we'll check in with them, whatever. Actually, that you're okay. That's not a danger to you. Go back in your house, whatever. Now, I don't know if they'd have told them that because it's a stakeout, whatever. But, I mean, your answer here is to call the cops. Now, I get it. In a lot of times here, that they might say, hey, we don't have the manpower for that. There's nothing that we can do.
Son.
Your answer there
Real
is
spill.
not to go outside your home. You're putting yourself at risk for death, and you're going to... your bargain here is I'm going to go outside to have a potential gun battle with an unknown number of people of unknown capability and unknown armament. That is a bad tactical decision. So even, again, from a legal perspective, we could talk about whether it's a good idea legally or whatever, but from the perspective of good tactics, this is a terrible idea because you are exposing yourself to danger. Far better to stay in your house, arm yourself if you want to, and just not go on the offense. We are self-defenders, not offenders. We are not offensive, we are defensive. So he comes up, and now, again, these guys are outside his property. They're on a public street. They're not doing anything wrong. And when, of course, he then is showing them the gun.
They is outside his house.
This is, again, terrible tactics because he's put himself very
Bitch,
far
you 1
forward.
inch away
So
from
he's
the
not
street
doing
and the
anything
nigga
where he
crib.
knows
What
what
you
he's
talking
about.
about?
He's not using a B-pillar or a zone of safety or anything like that. He's put himself in a place where literally everyone in that car can shoot at him if they are so armed. And so he's put himself at a literally probably the worst possible place other than immediately in front of the grill where they could run him over. Really bad idea all the way around. So from a tactical perspective, this is a huge mess. Then what you're going to see him do is, again, just taking our time and seeing what happens with it, he is going to then bang on their car with his gun and raise it up to them. Now, friends, this is where 100%, I don't care if this is a car full of cops or just private citizens, any reasonable person would be at fear of death or great bodily harm from somebody pointing a rifle at them while they are legally parked on the street. Now, I don't know if they're covering his driveway or whatever, but again, they're in a place they have the legal right to be, and anybody would feel at risk of death or great bodily harm. He is committing aggravated assault here. He doesn't have any reason that a reasonable person would say that he should be pointing a gun at people. And because of that, again,
okay,
it's
I
completely
understand
irrelevant
that,
whether this is a
fool.
police officer or a private citizen.
I
They
understand
absolutely
that.
have the right to defend their life using deadly force when someone puts them at risk of death like this. And so I think the officer's actions here are 100% justified. And I get it, again, that he is worried about what's going on in his house or worried about his family in there or those kinds of things. But he has become the offender. He's not a defender now. He's an offender. And
So you
that
gotta
is
wait for that to
putting
make
him
a
in place
move.
where I don't blame these officers.
And they gotta
one
make
bit.
a certain
To get out
move
of the
for
car,
y'all
put a
can
shot
still
on
get
him,
charged
and a
with
second shot
murder.
again, both of them. Now, I will note this, that from this
I don't
perspective,
be
I think these
understanding
officers
these laws,
got
fool.
hits, and well, I can't tell you whether or not they did. They eventually got a bunch of hits on the guy. But a gunfight is two-way. And so, again, in this last moment where he is thinking, I'm just asking you, friends, please hear me. Is he wondering, gosh, this was a great idea? Or is he wishing he had stayed inside his house? Clearly, he is wishing he has stayed inside his house. Clearly, he is wishing that he hadn't done this. Please use this as an example of why we don't do this kind of thing. Finally, of course, again, I'm just assuming this man is not a bad person. I don't blame these officers one bit for what they did. In
That
fact, I
nigga
think what they
lit
did
his
was
ass
right.
up.
But given the fact that what he's done is just made some huge tactical blunders to get to where he is and put him in this spot where these officers had to do exactly what they should have done, what any citizen should have done. And this is one of the reasons that we practice spiritual fitness, and that starts with being a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person and making sure that you take prudent action. Secondly, that your loved ones know that you love them and that you've solved any conflicts that you can, and that you do right in every opportunity so that you don't end up in these kinds of situations where you leave things undone at the end of your life. And then third, you make sure that your relationship with Jesus is strong because you will need it on that day and may not have time to get it.
Bro,
Let's learn the lessons from this one. It's a bad outcome, and that outcome was entirely preventable. Let's do better.
Nigga, is this a Christian gun page or some shit, fool? How you gonna try to relate your religion, fool, to the protecting yourself, fool? That last 45 seconds was some bullshit on God, fool. I ain't trying to hear none of that shit, fool. But I do understand, fool, that he's technically the street, fool. I guess it don't matter, fool, whether a nigga a half a millimeter, goddamn, centimeter, goddamn, away from your crib, fool. If they on the street, they got the right for the be there. Cause that's public property, fool. Folks travel on the street, goddamn. But bitch, obviously, fool, somebody just sitting in front of your shit, but they ain't just there chilling 9 times out of 10, especially if they ain't never came through this hoe before. So like, fool, just make that shit make sense. You know what I'm saying, fool? Y'all let me know y'all comments and discretions that are the comment, fool. That it for this video, fool. That shit made me feel some type of way, fool. I ain't even gonna hold you. And how the fuck he supposed to know it's undercover? Like, was they the nigga he was looking for? But I do understand, fool, at the end of the day, that he the one that busted at their ass first, so they murked his ass. But, fool, bro, you can't just expect somebody for the thoroughly think prudently, think spiritual religiousness. What the fuck, fool? when some shit like that going on, bro. He done gave them warnings and shit like that, fool, and they just stayed. So I don't understand that, fool. That shit kind of lame, but that's just the world we live in, my boy. See y'all next video, fool. Big brr.